And I should be getting comments in here too. Yes.
Comments are cool.
Why only 2? Yes, Robert. Why only 2 likes? I'm stopping the broadcast if I don't get 50 likes right now. Love it. I love it. Che Stockwell is not my avatar. He is my son.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
He's making sure I don't screw up or embarrass him.
I think that's the prerequisite for being the son, right?
Is it really?
You must be embarrassed at some point in time.
I have 4 kids. I must be on watch all the time. It's constant. I love it. Well, good, man. It's great to see you. So
Yeah.
I should probably, introduce you, right? In fact, you should probably introduce yourself because
Sure.
you're probably better at that than I am.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent Butler. I think I've been in MFT for about 6 or 7 months now. I've been, learning, trading, the skill of it, working to become consistently profitable. I think I started with Taylor maybe 2 or 3 months ago at this point. I was on the live streams with Revin, and I've worked with Revin as well. And there was one day he was on the live stream. You guys know how Revin is. He was just saying, if you haven't seen or heard Taylor's paradigm, you need to go see it. And I said, why not? So I tried it out and been around him ever since. And here we are.
I'm like glue. Just come near me. I'm going to stick to you. I'm not going to let you go.
Yeah, just the plot thickens with Taylor. So that's what we want to get to today. It's just there's surface level, and it's like what lies beyond the surface. So
yeah, I love it. It's been great working with you. Like, it's really cool when I have people I'm working with that they're engaged. They come to, like, you're in almost, I can't remember a meeting where you haven't been in. Like, I'm sure there's been a couple, but you're always there.
Just 2.
You're always asking questions, right? If I offer like, hey, does anybody want to get coached? You raise your hand. Like, it's just so refreshing to see traders willing to put in the work like you do, which is awesome. Where does that come from? Like, is that,
it's just a desire to want to get this, and then recognition that this is really, really hard. I've done some pretty hard stuff. Basically was an athlete all my life, went to college to be an athlete. So I know the work that it takes to do that. And then, but coming around this, I think this is much harder, mainly because there's infinite possibilities of winning and infinite possibilities of losing. And so when you get an opportunity to get under some tutelage or get under some structure, for me personally, I just try to eat it up like I'm Pac-Man.
Wow.
And that's
like
just
that analogy.
That's just
awesome.
that's just the reason behind it. Just really want to win. And then I think about this field as being extremely competitive, like sports, but you're competitive a lot of times with your mind. And I also think about, if this is something that you can make infinite amount of income, I also realize like it's going to be pretty daggone hard because most people are in it. They understand that that's a possibility too.
Yeah. When did you start trading? How long have you been in?
I got introduced to trading probably in like 2017, I think.
Okay.
And I was, working a full-time job and just learning some stuff. And I don't think I might have had like the best teachers initially. And it's just, I think they were doing what they could, but there's a lot of things I would say from a structure standpoint that are, that I had to figure out on my own. They weren't necessarily taught to me. And so over time, I've just been kind of working at it, and I had some moments where I wasn't able to spend as much time as I would like to. And, one of the harder things I think about with trading is, if you're working a full-time job, 9 to 5, when do you actually trade? If you're trading, certain types of strategies where you got to be staring at the market at the open. So those were things that have been barriers for me. But I've been at it for a while and just studying. I've kind of seen a lot of different strategies and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty common path. Like your experience is unique to you, but the path is relatively common. And especially like because I know what it's like to raise a family and try to learn how to trade at the same time, juggling all that. Like it's tough. It's really hard. And there were years where I was like, I didn't look at the markets. I was busy trying to earn a living, and I got really busy with work, and then work would slow down. I'd be able to come back. So I know how it is, like the long haul. I know what the long haul looks like.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I really wanted. I really want to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Just like understanding that long haul and then hearing your experiences, um, because I also feel like it's it can be like disheartening for a lot of people at
Mhm.
times for anybody because you have this expectation that I should be getting this at this moment, um, and you're like, if I could only spend more time doing it, and if I could only, just get over this hump this one time, and it's a long haul journey, and that part of it is the part that I think is very very trying for people, and even your own internal and mental struggles that you deal with of like you should be better than this or you should be beyond this at this point because everything in life kind of has a very step by step structure and a time frame of when you would do certain things, and this one seems like it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. So today I invited you on not for me to interview you. I get into the habit. So I love like Che will tell you, like I actually love asking people questions. I love like learning about them and their lives. So but I'm gonna try to like not do that because this was your request. You're
Yeah,
like Taylor, like you need to go on and let me and people ask you questions about you and about your trading and about your coaching. Like
yeah,
we want to dig into you. So
let's do it.
it's very uncomfortable for me to do that, just so you know. Like I have a lot of discomfort around, that. I'd rather talk to other people, let other people tell me about them. So I'll put that aside and you hit me with whatever you want. And I think anybody can post comments if you got questions as well. We have a little bit of a delay, so obviously because we're on live stream, but we'll try to keep track of the chat and you just hit me with questions. So
Awesome,
Sage is
awesome,
on Christian Sage is on next week. So we're doing a live stream with Sage next week with Revan.
cool.
All right,
uh,
Vincent.
yeah, yeah, I think I wanted to just talk to you and hear you as a man, as a family man, as a trader, and then as a coach. um, I think if I was to look back at MFT and see everything that goes on, I think we get a chance to really see Sage and Rev's personality through the streams because they're a long stream and he talks about a million different subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Patrick's live stream, you get to see what you see. And so I think for you, a lot of times I just see you interviewing or talking about coaching, and I'm like, well, we got
Yeah.
to understand like how you got to be this person that you got to be. And so I think for me, the first thing I would say is, what did you do prior to trading?
Prior to trading.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so I was in the corporate world for a long time. So
Okay.
I was an executive, a marketing executive for high tech companies. So I worked for all kinds of stuff. I worked in startups. I spent some time in venture capital. So I was a partner in this is like very early on. So I wasn't a partner. I was an associate in a venture capital firm. That was a lot of fun. That got me into kind of the high tech space. And then I joined some startups, and those startups got bought by other larger companies and larger companies. And then I landed at a public company, kind of a smaller public company. And then they got bought by IBM. And then I landed at IBM. And so I went from like at one point within a year, or a year and a half, I think I was working at a place. It was like 25 of us to, at the time, IBM had, 140,000 employees. At one point, I was like 140,001.
Yeah, that's
so,
big.
so it was that like that was so um, that was so uh, interesting of an experience for me because I loved IBM. I loved how innovative I could be, but you're kind of swollen up in this large, corporate world. So, I really kind of started out in my career just doing, a little bit of finance, a little bit of entrepreneurship, marketing, and then just kind of rose position after position after position and just took on corporate positions. I left IBM and joined a couple of other companies and ended up in Austin, Texas,
Okay.
and just, had opportunities where I could kind of stop the corporate stuff and start trading full time. And that's kind of what I moved into. But yeah, I'm a corporate guy. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually am in digital marketing too, as well. Um, so
Yeah. So,
doing
hey, since we're talking about
yes,
us, right? You
yeah,
want to go deep, right? So how to, I learned how to program HTML in 1994.
okay.
It
Yeah, you
was
got me beat.
this, I'm dating myself. I'm dating myself here. So 1994. So I think that was like HTML version. I think it was 0. I don't remember what it was. It was zero. It was a 0.8 standard or
Okay.
something like that. So it was like it was really 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 early on, and so it was kind of cool because I was with companies that were around the internet, and I kind of got to see the internet kind of take off in a really unique way.
Right.
Social media before social media, for those of you who are as old as I am, and in digital marketing, we used to call that Web 2.0. So that was Web 2.0, and then it emerged into social media. And anyway, it's kind of cool to see a whole industry grow up like that.
Funny thing is, I got my first job in digital marketing by building a website using Wix,
Oh,
and
wow.
and the person thought, because the website was so fly, they thought I knew HTML. When they
Oh
hired me,
no.
they're like, I was like, no, I don't. And they're like, oh crap. But I figured out enough to make it work. So, but that was something that happened with me.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Fake it till you make it, bro.
it worked, and I actually was their best hire ever. So it was amazing. Um, when did trading start to come in the mix
Mm,
between the corporate life?
yeah, and this is good. This goes along with Robert's question, right? Which is why did I start trading? It was I think I first learned about trading. Oh man, it had to have been probably 2006 or something. And I wouldn't say that's when I started trading. That's when like I had buddies that are like, "Oh, Taylor, have you heard about the forex market and stuff?" And so I was first exposed to the forex market. And really, honestly, it was just like, hey, maybe I can make a little extra money, like on the side, right? How dumb of me now. Like, this is an easy way to make a little bit of extra cash, right? Like, hey, this should be no problem. So they introduced me to the forex market, and I started to kind of learn, and I went down the rabbit hole, and it was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much to learn. And again, it was a slow boat for me. I was in the middle of my career. My kids were younger, um, you know, and so it was tough. But for me, originally, it was just, yeah, let me see if I can make a little bit of extra money. Might be an easy way to make some extra money. Yeah. Little did I know.
Got it. So, what does the family think about trading? And I'm sure that may have changed as time is going on, but like, what's their thoughts when they're like, okay, he's got all these screens and he's sitting there and he's just behind these screens and he's watching these things go up and down. How do they feel about it?
Um, yeah, hmm. That's a dangerous question with my son, on on the live stream, but it's better him than my wife. So, it's interesting because my family, they've seen like the heartache of it. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And they've seen, probably, hopefully they've seen the personal growth that's come from it, like where I'm very motivated to become better at this and being a father and other things. But they've also seen the heartache. Our loved ones, those of you who have loved ones in your life, or aren't single, you've got someone in your life, they're probably seeing how hard this is for you to go through. And they have a hard time. Like I know my wife has had a really hard time. She's been a rock star support. Like there's no way I could do this without her, because she's been through all the ups and downs and all arounds. Right. And she's the one that when I'm feeling my worst, will give me the most encouragement. Like you can do this. Like you've got this. And so that's been really great. But I think my family, they they trust me that I'm just going to try to do my very best at whatever I do, and they support me, which is awesome. I think that I've gotten a ton of support from my family, and love and encouragement and compassion. And so I don't know what they think about it, but I know that's how they have displayed themselves to me through the experience, for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see Robert. He says his wife thinks trading is gambling. She supports me, but she stays away from the candles. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. I know. I think we've all had people who support us, and then we all have people who are like, "Please stop now."
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see both sides of that with different family members and or possibly friends as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly and Che are having this discussion. Kelly, I just want to tell you, like, I'm not a golfer, right? But what I do tell people, as I say, I'm like a drunk Irishman. I have this thing going on. I don't know what it is. This is my look. This is like the look that I like genetically must have. Is I'm going to make a great Santa Claus when I grow this out, and I've got the rosy cheeks. It's going to be
if
awesome. I'm
if you
just
ever go to, you know,
crazy,
that's
crazy good.
you'll be a good Santa Claus for photos, though.
I hope so.
What type of trader would you describe yourself as?
Oh, this is good. So, like, all right. I have gone through lots of different approaches in my trading career, and some have worked really better than others. And, there was early on in my career, I was a news trader. So I actually built my own Java platform that was connected to a low latency news feed. We were co-located in New York. And as soon as news reports came out, like non-farm payrolls or whatever, we were banging the currency markets. Um, and I think part of the reason my wife is so encouraging is because there was a good stint of, really good few years where it was literally an ATM machine. Like we made a lot of money from that. And it was so easy. And it was like, people ask about like win rate. There was only one bad loss that I had, and it was in 2008. I remember this. It was 2008, and it was a non-farm payrolls report, and it was expected to be not good. You guys remember 2008? 2008 was not a great year,
Right,
right? It was like the big crash,
right.
and it was not expected to be good, and it turned out to not be good. And so I had like large size set up on, to trade this news report, and it came out, and all the numbers were perfectly in line. I should have walked away with just gobs of money. Well, what happened was that the Fed intervened to support the currency, the US dollar. And so what ended up happening is that instead of going the way that I needed it to go, it went the exact opposite because the Fed just pumped. And
Money.
so that manipulation like actually led to thousands of dollars of loss in a matter of like 20 seconds.
Ouch.
And it was like, oh my gosh, that was the worst loss. That was the biggest risk to the system. Was you would have some sort of weird event like that would come in. But like my biggest challenge with that system was I couldn't get enough size filled. I kept trying to get more and more size filled because it was such a reliable, good system. So that was great. And then there was like some legislation that passed, and they blocked small, retail investors like myself from getting into, currency markets and, certain currency liquidity pools, the institutional pools, which is where I needed to be in. And then it just dried up. And so I had to go back to the drawing board and kind of relearn, like, okay, well, how do you actually trade? Because honestly, that was kind of cheating, That was, I have to say, that wasn't really trading,
You found a
that,
glitch in the system.
right. Yeah, it's arbitrage, like we figured out a little loophole and we did really good. So then it was like then it was like really the start of, okay, I have to learn how to do this. And that was a slow process in between job changes and career moving up in my career and taking more responsibility, taking time off. And so the way that I trade now, and it's great because you can vouch for this because you and others in my program, I've actually taught this is how I trade. It's a very mechanical system. I think I learned through the news trading. Like I just like really mechanical stuff. Like I'm a systems thinker and it's like, just give me a clear set of rules. Like I don't want any ambiguity. I don't want to have to sit there and feel like, well, 8 of these signals telling me I should go long, but 3 say I shouldn't. Like maybe I should wait.
Hmm.
I don't want any of that. I just want like, hey, it's very clear. And my statistics tell me that I should take this trade. And in the end, it's going to work out over the long haul. Right.
Right.
And so I've really done a lot of work to eliminate a lot of discretion out of my trading. And so I trade a very mechanical approach and take a very mechanical approach to my trading with my rules. And I think you could probably vouch, you and others, right? You and others,
Yeah,
like I think we
I
have a
would
few people
say
on, Robert and others.
the system that you've shown us is the most mechanical thing I've seen and studied as I've come across trading systems. I think I got introduced to mechanical and discretionary reading trading in zone. That was my first time getting introduced to that. But as far as being able to find something to execute that is just truly mechanical, I think your system, I would have to say for me personally, was the first time getting truly mechanical experience. I remember I've tried to take things that are more discretionary and try to make them as mechanical as possible. But that can be pretty difficult to go through that process of making something mechanical that has the tendency to be more discretionary.
Yeah. 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 And I think, for me, especially as a coach, as I've worked with more and more traders, I'd love for traders to look a little, especially newer traders, to look more closely at mechanical type of approaches because it's hard enough to, learn a system, learn rules, learn how the indicators work, learn how the market works, learn how to manage your emotions, learn how to manage your thinking, learn how to deal with your limiting beliefs. Like we have all this stuff. And if you can take out like the decision making aspect of your trading as much as possible, where you have to kind of decide discretionarily in the moment, in a heated moment when you're feeling a lot of strong emotions. If you can maybe have something that can take that away, I just feel like that's a lot better for a lot of people, at least even to get started with, right?
Yeah, it's different. I think a lot of times I think about trading. I say I think the style should kind of almost match the personality type in
Oh
a
yeah.
way as well. Um, just from what I've seen and what I've been around, like I've seen people who, like the first people I got introduced to, they like scalped really quickly, and it was just like in and out, and it was like, wham, and it's excitement, it's just, and I'm like, what's that? I'm like, that's cute, but then when it goes against you one time, what do you do then? And it's just like, so I get that, from a personality standpoint, I think people find things that work and suit their personality and more so their emotional states.
Yeah.
And that helps them probably overcome that process. And so I wanted to ask you, what was it like to go from not profitable and inconsistent to when you crossed that bridge and started to become consistent and profitable? What was that like? How did that feel? And then, maybe what did you have to overcome that got you over that hump?
Uh, break even duration is what I had to overcome. So like it's interesting because like when I go back and I look at my trading, I went through a long stretch of where I was essentially a break even trader, and a long stretch, right? That's one thing that really actually kept me in the game for so long. So my mentor was Merritt Black, and I learned the NADRO approach. If anybody has followed Merritt, he teaches this NADRO framework. And for a long time, I was a break even trader. Like I felt really good about my trading. And because Merritt would always say, look, once you hit break even, then you're right there. It's like just one step and you're there. And then it's a matter of just scaling. Like you've got this. Like the hardest thing for traders is to get the break even. And so like I was feeling really good about myself like for a while. And then I'm like, wait, the break even is still, I'm not breaking the break even. Like what is going on here? And so that's when I really kind of dug into some of the mindset work, right? Because I realized like it wasn't my system and it wasn't necessarily my process. It was that third component that I talk about a lot in my coaching, right? I talk about edge, I talk about process, and then I talk about mindset. I lacked the mindset that I needed to be able to kind of overcome that hump that I was on. And everybody's going to have a different hump. Like your hump may be different than what my hump was from that break-even perspective, but I needed to go through that mindset work. And it wasn't until I really got coaching and I started to get coaching around my mindset that I started to see the improvement. And then really massive improvement in the last probably year to year and a half when I started to shift to the mechanical approach. So, it's like it's been really a great journey for me, right? Because I've had years where I've had really good ups. I've had some years, I haven't had a lot of years that were really down, honestly.
Mhm.
Like I haven't really, I'm not one of those guys I can say like, yeah, I blew like 3 accounts, nothing like that. I went to kind of this break even mode. And then I kind of went to this profitability. I could see I'm profitable, right?
Mhm.
And it's like it's that kind of movement for us that could be sometimes be the most challenging, where we feel like we've plateaued in a particular spot and zone, and we just have to take that next step and move into that next level, right?
Right, right. The So what's your goals for this year as the trader?
Oh yeah, I hinted I'd be willing to talk about that. I believe in big goals. So I think, we're taught, and you've been in the business world, right? I think
Mhm.
the model for goals is called SMART goals, right? I don't
Right.
do SMART goals. I do something called impossible goals. And I wanted to think of what's a goal that like initially my brain is like, no, like that's way too much. Like there's no way. There's no way. And so as I was thinking about this, I'm like, well, you know what? Like $100,000 a month trading. Yeah, that's like at first, like when I first kind of thought about this goal, I was like, yeah, that's a big goal. Yeah, I don't know about that. And then I started thinking, I'm like, why not? Like this is totally possible. There's lots of traders that make $100,000 a month easily. I started running the numbers based on, looking at my system and profitability and stuff. I'm like, this is achievable. I could do this, and when you set big goals, like even when you first start thinking of a goal that you think is so big, you're never going to get it. Your brain has a hard time and you need to sit with it for like a week. So like for a week, I just kind of sat with it. I just kept thinking about it. And I'm like, this is possible. I know this is possible. How's this possible? And pretty soon your mind shifts into from, hey, this isn't possible to, oh, this is totally doable. Now let's figure out how we actually make this happen. That's why I like these kinds of goals. And so, my goal is I want to make $100,000 a month in my trading. And then I want to go bigger than that, and at some point I'm going to start increasing that goal. But that's kind of like, that's my first, big impossible goal is that one right there.
Gotcha. It's funny because I think about the goal. I think I was reading or skimming probably this book with 10x, and one of the things it was saying was to look for really large goals and things that you would consider impossible goals, because in order to hit them, you actually remove like 99% of the things that you can do in the first place. So it actually makes it a little bit easier because there's only like 2 or 3 things you can do to actually hit those goals.
Yeah. Yeah. We also need clarity out of what we want. I think one of the biggest challenges, especially when I talk about mindset and as I kind of, as I help traders with mindset, most people have trouble identifying what is it that they actually want. Traders are probably in a better situation than just the average person because you've kind of come into this world and you're like, oh, yes, I think I know what I want. But I would just encourage everyone, get very specific about what you want. Very specific. Not, I want to be a profitable trader. Well, how profitable? Like, what does that look like? What does that mean to be a profitable trader? Like, what does that look like for you? How much money do you want to be making? Right. And then let your brain work on that problem, and your brain will come up with the solutions. You'll start to find things that open up for you. One of the things that opened up for me that was, after I made the goal was Apex. Apex came around, and Apex, offering their 20 PA accounts. I'm like, boom, I have a path. Like I totally have a path. I'm like, okay, this is great, right? This is awesome. I can do it, and I don't even have to risk any of my own money. I can get to this, right? And so I love the big goals. I love the big impossible goals.
Speaking of Apex, I was going to ask you about, well, my question was going to be, do you like prop firm accounts? And clearly the answer is yes to that. Um, so I guess we would say we're using a copy trader or copy trading.
Yeah.
Is there a particular copy trader that you like or prefer?
I'm glad you asked that. Actually, yes, yes. And thank you to Christian Hunewald. So Christian was on my live stream. He did the backtesting live stream. So he and I, he's one of the guys that I've trained around my system and now has just kind of run away with it. So we're friends on Discord, and he actually just shared a new one with me. So I have a lot of accounts that I trade. So I trade multiple accounts in with multiple places. I have my own personal accounts. I have accounts with Top Step. I have accounts with, Apex, right? And so I'm running multiple instances of Sierra Chart. And so what I was running into, and this is actually just totally recent. So Sierra Chart's great. I love Sierra Chart's trade copy feature. It works. It's bulletproof. It's fantastic. And so I use it, but that only works in the same instance on the same broker account. And I was running into this problem, and it happened before I got this. I have this brand new trade copier that I love. And so like I was scrambling I think I had to put 10 orders in across all these different brokers and systems, like within the matter of like 10 seconds. And I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And then I had to and I got them all in. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. That's my excitement for the day. I trade a very relaxed system, right? But if you take that system and you multiply it by you get to do 10 things all at the same time that's happening, like it gets a little bit crazy.
Look, I
And
struggled to
then
do two the other day. So
yeah. So right? My system's supposed to be relaxed and
right,
chill. This was not chill. I'm like,
it's,
this is not how my
it's
trading
not,
is supposed
y'all.
to work right now.
It's not.
So anyway, I ended up losing a bunch of money because I couldn't actually cancel orders
Fast
that were
enough.
supposed to be canceled in time. I was trying to cancel these orders because my signal was over and I didn't make it. And I was too slow trying to jump from screen to screen to screen. So there's this trade copier. What's it called? Oh, let's see. It's from simplesystemtrading.com. And it is here. I'll post right here in the chat so you guys can see. I actually like this. This is for Sierra Chart. I don't know. I can't post it there. I'm going to post it over here on YouTube. Hang on, guys. Okay. So what it does is it actually allows me to copy from one instance of Sierra Chart to my other instances. So I don't have to worry about jumping from all these different instances. I only have, I have micros, a set of micros,
Mhm.
or I have domes for ES, NQ, CL micros, and then ES, NQ, and CL minis. And all I could do is put 2 orders in, and it populates across all my accounts, all 10 accounts, right? So it's beautiful. It's a little bit technical, but it
Mhm.
works, and it's like taking off a big load for my trading. So
Okay.
yeah, that was a long answer. I'm just so excited. You guys can tell, like, I'm super excited. This is a problem that I solved that I've been really, really stressing about. Like, how do I trade all these accounts at the same time? And it's taking a big load off, actually. So
It's
thank you, Christian.
it sounds to me, it sounds like that's that point where you get to you have confidence in your system, and you start to have confidence in the R, the return that it can bring you. And so at that point, I don't need to necessarily aim for bigger targets, but now I can start to scale. And now you're at a point where, like, technically, how do I make sure that I'm able to scale and meet that time requirement of getting in and getting out of orders properly so that I'm not losing money?
Yeah. 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 I like that you bring up the confidence part. Um, we, as traders, we kind of have to build confidence in a couple of different areas. The system is one. So you're right. I have a lot of confidence in my system. In fact, this week, I think we're down in R on this
Right.
strategy, right? We're down in R. I'm actually getting excited because I'm like, yeah, the more down days we have, like the bigger the win streak is. Like every time I go back and I look at my data, and you can do this too, right? You've probably seen this in the data. Like you'll hit 2, 3, 4 days that are negative, and then all of a sudden you'll have this amazing, awesome like run where you get back that and more. And so I get kind of excited because I know my numbers in my system. I know what my edge looks like, and so I have that confidence. But we also have to create and build confidence in ourselves, and that we can trust ourselves to actually trade our edge and follow those rules. That's harder confidence to build, in my opinion. The edge part, you can gain that through a lot of back testing work and screen work and replay work. The other one really only can come as you execute day in and day out your process. And so it
Right.
takes a little bit more time.
So let's talk about that, because I think, like let's say right now, let's say this week with box, let's say we're in R's negative right now. And you're talking about having the confidence to be able to continue to execute it. What How did you develop that confidence to be able to continue to just execute and follow the process even when the outlook isn't necessarily favorable at the current moment?
That's a good question. Um, hmm. Because I think it's still both parts. I think it's still both of those things. So one is like you just said something really interesting, right? What is it you said, that when the outlook isn't
Favorable.
favorable. I see the complete opposite,
Okay.
right? Like I'm like, ooh, I think that the outlook looks really great because your systems have to go in drawdown. Like there has to be some sort of drawdown, right?
Okay.
When it's a
Talk about that.
discretionary, yeah.
Talk
So
about
let's
that.
let's let's talk about this. When it's a discretionary system, right? Drawdown can happen for 2 reasons, right? It can happen because the market conditions are just not favorable to your system, or it can happen because you're not following your process because you're not making great trade decisions, right? So that's a problem. That's one of the biggest problems in discretionary systems is you start to wonder, well, is it the system or is it me?
Me.
You don't know,
Right.
right? And you tend to lean on you, like it's got to be me. Like I'm like totally screwed. I shouldn't have taken all these trades when they could have been perfectly valid trades. For me, I have no, like it absolutely is clear. I should have taken this trade or I shouldn't have taken this trade. It's so clear. It's so crystal clear, right? That I can immediately eliminate. Is that the problem? No, that's not the problem. So what's the problem? The problem is, well, I didn't trade the system well, right? And so that's why my results aren't good. Or I traded the system perfectly, which means this is a drawdown period. And I can go look back in my data and I can see, oh, this is what happens after a drawdown period. I'll have 2, 3, 4 losers in a row. Then all of a sudden I'll get, a string of winners with, 3, 4, 5, 6R each winner.
Got
Right.
it. Like I've heard the term like where I'm in drawdown or there's a drawdown, all kind of stuff, but rarely do we get very clear definitions of what a drawdown actually feels like.
Mm,
And I think that's important. Like what you said, a drawdown, maybe a string of 4 or 5 losers. And then you understand that this is looking at my data, that this can occur.
yeah.
And the other part I think about for myself personally is I think about discretionary. I did that where I'm like, there's a string of losers, and I'm like, it's got to be me.
Yeah.
Like if instantly in my mind, I'm like, what did I do?
Yep.
And you look back and the trades might have been the right trade. You might have entered correctly. You did everything that's in your playbook. You did it. Then you're like, it's still me. And then you're
Yeah.
like, woe is me. And we're down this road of bad, just mental stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was trading a discretionary system, I had to catch that all the time. Like that's every day I did an end of day review. Like I would go back and I'd redo all the charts. I'd mark out all the trades that I saw, that were that were adhered to my process, and then compared them to my actual results. And then I could actually measure myself and say, oh, okay, like, yeah, I followed my process. It was just a crappy day, or I didn't follow my process, and therefore it was a crappy day, right? And so you had to do that extra work, and I had to do that extra work. I don't really have to do that now. I do it a little bit, but I know right away whether I've messed up a process, part of my process or not. It's like, okay, yeah, I missed that. That was a clear entry, and I didn't take that entry, or I moved my stop loss too quickly, or whatever, right? But that I trust myself now, and I think one area that I'm sure you're going to get to, which is around targets. I hold for bigger targets than what a lot of people in the market flow trader community hold for, right? You agree with that,
Yeah,
Stephen?
definitely, 100%.
Definitely. So like my trades are minimum of 3R, and then a lot of times I'm hitting 4, 5, 6R trades. And again, part of the reason I'm able to do that is I trust my system. And so, I had to work through that though. Like there was a point where I struggled with the process. I struggled to kind of really trust that the system was going to work out. I struggled with, if I take this entry here, what if it goes down below, right? All that kind of stuff. So even with a clear system, I had to teach myself and train myself to follow my process. And when you do that over and over and over again, you begin to trust yourself more and more, right? And so that trust in myself, again, that's the one you have to build up slowly. But you can lean on your data and your statistics until you have that real confidence in yourself, right? And when those two things come together, confidence in your edge and confidence in yourself, and they come together, and then you can trade so well that you're hitting 80, 90, 100% of your process, then you're in a really great spot, right?
Something you said, data and statistics. Um, prior to working with you and some of the work I did with Revan, data and statistics were not a thing that I understood. I knew it because I could do it at my job, but I didn't know how to implement that into my trading. And even looking at your program with chart re-engineering, I had never heard that term before, along with paradigm and how you talk about circumstance. I never heard those before. But when I looked at chart re-engineering and how to get data and statistics, even if you have a discretionary system, but basically how to take something that's discretionary and start to formulate data around it to develop an edge, that was something that was brand new for me.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't done it, but I would like you to kind of just go into that that thought process behind using chart re-engineering to develop edge by gathering data and statistics.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. But I'm going to comment on Jim's comment because like this stream. I feel like Patrick. I need more likes, people. I need more likes. I need more shares. No, this is really great. So um, when I started coaching, I started mindset coaching. I'm like, you know what, like mindset coaching. That's kind of like one of the big problems and hurdles that people have for sure. And I got, just to be clear, I'm a trained mindset coach. I'm not just like I read a few books and I'm good to go. Like I actually went through professional training to become a mindset coach. And I specifically chose a program that I had used myself to work through some of the trading challenges I have. And then I got a coach, and then I had that coach, work through that. Right. So just so you guys know, like I'm not just some guy that like picked up a book and said, I'm going to start coaching.
So every coach has had a coach or has a coach.
Yeah. Yes. I think so. I'm a big fan of coaching for sure. And so my thought was, okay, I'm going to go into mindset coaching. I think what I have is really great, right? And I think you can probably agree. Like I have some really great stuff. I don't coach on what you should think necessarily. I coach on how do you change your thinking? How do you change your beliefs? How do you get, like, we all know what we're supposed to be thinking when we're trading. We all know what we're supposed to be feeling. How do we get there from where we're at today in our current mindset state? And I thought this is going to be great. And so I go in and gosh, I swear, Vincent, like 50, 60% of the time, I'm like, oh, I don't think you have a mindset problem. I think you have an edge problem. like you think you have an edge in your trading system, but you actually don't. And so that's where all the mind drama is coming from. And I think if we can eliminate that problem, your mindset probably is going to be a lot easier to fix. So that led me on the path of edge process mindset. So what I do around edge, I always ask, one of the first questions I ask, and if someone comes to me and says, I want to get coaching, do you know the first question I ask?
Profit factor.
Yes.
What's your profit factor?
I'm glad. Thank you for remembering. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your profit factor? And half the time people are like, what are you talking about? I don't know what that is. Like,
I didn't know
okay,
what it is
that's
until I heard you talk about. I knew what it was, but I didn't really know how it was calculated or like how important it
or
was
how
or what
important it
it
was.
meant until I started doing going through the program.
Yeah, it's the most important metric every trader should know, profit factor. Most traders don't know what profit factor is, and those who don't know what their profit factor is. So they don't, like, most traders don't actually know whether or not they have an edge. An edge is not a feeling you have in the market. An edge is a statistical probability of profit. And if your system doesn't have a statistical probability of profit, no amount of mindset work is gonna fix your trading at all. So the first thing that I do with the traders is I walk them through how to properly backtest. How do you go and actually create a baseline of what your system looks like from an edge perspective? And then how well can you trade against that baseline? And so those are the two big, first exercises that I have traders do, in my program or in my coaching, is you got to do that. That's the first step. And if you have a profit factor that's like let's say your baseline is 4.0 and you're trading it at a 0.5, okay, that's a problem. But it means you have good rules. It just means that you've got to learn how to trade and create a process that's going to allow you to execute better, right?
Right. And that was something too that I thought about. Like in the sports world, we say like how you're able to practice this way, but in the games, you're not able to replicate what you do at practice.
Hmm.
And so, when we were doing the chart re-engineering, like, yeah, this is amazing, man. I got like each one of these trades are like 4R, and you got to do it live. And you're like, wait, what
Yeah,
happened to
about to
the
say.
4R every trade? Where did stuff go? So that was a really good portion of that stood out for me when I got into your program. Was like, okay, like really being able to go back and back test this stuff. And this is even for, scalping type strategies. Like one of the things I looked at was that I did a lot of back testing work on the RBI, because that was something that I could see well. And so I started noticing it's different when it's going with the trend versus against the trend. And now you need to have different profit levels and different, maybe potentially a
Mhm.
different stop or be a little bit more cautious. And so that was some of the stuff that I got out of just doing the back testing and chart re-engineering work.
Yeah.
And then, another thing that drew me to your program was really digging into like the mindset work and really understanding and digging into paradigm. And I'm just curious as far as when you came up with it. Um, I know the cool thing
I'm a
about
thief.
paradigm,
I'm
guys.
a thief.
Well, was it like the best artist still? So the cool thing I would say about paradigm is it works not just for trading, it also works for
Mm,
personal. And
yeah.
so, if you're still throwing your mouse when you lose on a trade, or banging your desk around, stuff in the paradigm can be beneficial for you. But just how did you come up with it?
You're kicking the dog in the morning, if you're
Yeah, all of those, if you're just going crazy emotionally and mentally, if you've already closed a trade out before because it went one tick against you, that can help you. But just curious, how did you come up with it? And, how did you start thinking about when, as you're working with traders, the best way to execute it or for them to be able to execute it for themselves?
Yeah. So I'm a really good thief. I'm I'm really good. I mean, look, like let's just talk about the challenge in the industry itself, right? We went from, when I started, there was hardly any information out there. The internet was fairly new, right? Like you didn't have any trading, any training, there wasn't really just a lot of good stuff out there. We've gone from that to, oh my gosh, like everybody has an opinion or a program, or like there's so much information. I mean, if I don't want to be a new trader right now, because I would get lost in this sea of information. And so what I've done is there's, a lot of original thinking in my program, but there's also a lot of stuff that I've pulled in from, like, oh, I'm going to use this because this works. I've coached with this, or I've gotten coached on this, and this works. I'm going to pull this in and use this, right? So I have no shame in kind of being the one that's distilling and pulling in the best information and condensing it down into something that is consumable in a very systematic way. That's what I've done, is I've created a program that is very systematic in taking you into the consistency journey. The paradigm stuff came from my coaches. So, the mindset coaches that I had taught me the paradigm. It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just a kind of a more formalized, branded way to talk about, CBT, and maybe goes a little bit further in some areas. And I use it where it's applied specifically to traders and trader mindset and trader psychology challenges, right? And so I'm kind of taking something that exists out there that works, and I'm taking it and kind of applying it, right?
Got it.
And so I love the paradigm. It's made a huge impact on me in my life personally. And so it was then that impact that I saw both in my life and my trading. I'm like, I gotta get this out there. Like
Gotta get
every
that.
trader needs to hear this, because this is how you change your mindset. We I've said this before, people have probably heard me say it. I love Mark Douglas, and I love Brett Steenbarger, and I love all of these guys that create these really great books and content about trader psychology. We need those. We also need to learn the skills of how to change our mindset. And those aren't taught in the books or the YouTube videos or elsewhere. The actual, how do I go from believing that I'm a failure to believing that I can become a consistently profitable trader? How do I get past that belief, right?
It's interesting you say that because now that I'm thinking about those books, because I've read them and listened to a bunch of stuff, those books are more like reactions to what you would experience as a trader versus what you're saying is more it's being proactive to what you already are experiencing as a trader. So in other words, I'm reacting to what happens. Well, this is say I'm going to be proactive in my mind because these things tend to happen.
Yeah. 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 And, you know, one of the, one of the things that I recognize as a coach, especially when it comes to traders, is there's a set of challenges. Like I could probably list the 10 challenges, mindset challenges that every trader has. And
What's
it's
the
like, and I would
what's the
probably
top
cover
two?
90%. What?
What's the top two?
Well, what do you think they are? Because I guarantee you probably have them somewhere.
I think I had the biggest thing with losing. That was a
Losing.
big thing for me. Was accepting just accepting losses, and one of the bigger shifts I had to make with trading was just to understand that it's probabilities over an extended time period.
Yeah.
And I think I had the hardest problem with losing because I think about with trading, it's it's just different from everything else that we normally do in life as far as how we make income, as far as how you win. It's not normal. And then like when I came from some of the environments that I was in, every time you did lose, it felt like the end of the world. If you play
Yeah.
football or you do anything in sports, like when you have a bad race in track or you have a bad game in football, your next meet is until the next week.
Yeah.
And so you start to just it, you can't accept it. You have to work at it. You got to do something. Something's wrong with you. You got to change. You got to do something different. Whereas in trading, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally true. It's totally true. This is, I mean, I, I haven't, I've done some hard things in my life. I mean, I think we all probably, the older you get, the more likely you've done some really hard things in your life. I'm realizing, and trading is right up there as one of the hardest things ever. And it's because of, the tax it takes from you from a mindset perspective more than anything. Like most people, they're not worried about the money. Like I know like there's probably anxiety about the money that people have lost, but in the end, they're less worried about the money they've lost and more worried about this pattern of failure they were in. Oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I can't make it. I don't know how to make it. I can't be profitable, right? And that's more damaging than losing 20, 30, $40,000, right? In my opinion, money you can always recover from.
Well, it stays with you though. Like it compounds itself because there is the fact of in my mind I'm losing, but then there's the true reality like I've lost money, right? And then you don't have a lot of people don't have a complete support system of people like, oh, it's okay, babe, it's 20 grand, it's fine, we'll get it back. Like it's usually like you
Yeah,
did
that's
what? You're out of here. Like you don't like your kids, you hate your kids. They're like, why would you put us at risk? It's that's going on for a lot of people. So it can compound itself. And then also I think what's tied to trading for some of us, I think a lot of times it's not just money, it's not success, it's just getting out of environments that we're in,
yeah,
right? And so we tie there's that it's a deeper tie of getting out of where we are and becoming something that we've seen for ourselves. And some people are in environments where there's a cap in that environment and this is their way out. And so now the losing like says I'm like the light at the tunnel is closing and closing and closing down on me. And so it gets to be deeper and it gets to become like mental, emotional, and even spiritual to some degree
yeah.
at some point in time.
And that's a mindset hurdle that we have to learn to overcome too, because that is a mindset of scarcity, right? It's like I need to be successful because this part of my life over here is I don't want it anymore. It's not working, right? And so you're approaching trading from a mindset of scarcity, and that's not going to be healthy for you either. You have to recognize even that approach, even that reasoning of, man, I've really got to get out of this environment could be something that might be sabotaging your trading. It might be something that's part of creating the fear of losing, right? And so, that those are the kinds of things that a coach can help expose, like these kinds of thought patterns that we think all the time and we think are normal. And sometimes we even think like this is an admirable thing to think. Like I want to I want to have a better life for myself and my family. You think that's a wonderful, admirable thing, right? What you're saying is, I don't have a wonderful, amazing life with my family right now, right? That's really what you're telling your brain. And that's really where your mindset is at. So we want to start from a position of abundance too, and then move into, hey, what's my impossible goal? Like, bring it back to impossible goals. What's my impossible goal? Where do I want to get to, and why? What's my real reason why I want to do this? Right.
Let's see, Christian. Where do we find this in MFT? I want to say it is under. It's on the left tab, I think. Is it under
Under
Accelerator?
mentorship, I think there's a Consistency Accelerator link there. One-on-one with Revan, one-on-one with Taylor, or Consistency Accelerator. Yeah, I think I have a banner here too. This will get you there. Boom. That'll get
And
you there too. I'll leave that up for a minute.
I hope I say this correctly. Movida Dulce or Dolce. Am I the only one who can hold a losing trade forever but take the profit so quickly? Nope, you are not.
Just shameless plug. You should join my program and learn the box strategy. You will know exactly where your stop loss needs to go, and I will make sure that you do not move it.
So here's another thing I'll say about Taylor that y'all may or may not have realized. Like, there's a version of Taylor on these live streams, and then there's a version of Taylor when you're being coached by him.
Oh, really?
Those are not the same. Okay.
Tell me more.
Those are not the same.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
he's gonna ramp up the intensity, and I'm gonna tie it to the comment when you said, I saw a problem and I really wanted to fix a problem. And usually, anybody who coaches, it's because they don't want anyone else out there to struggle. And it becomes a personal thing because you're passionate about it, but you just have this desire to not see anybody else struggle.
Yeah.
And you've gone through something, and coaching is a thing that it's not for everybody. And the people that really want to do it, trust me, they're just doing it because it's inside of them, because coaching people isn't easy. And so what you see from them is this desire to fix something, and it's almost like, I got to fix this because I know what it is, I know what the problem was, and if I can do something about it, I will. And I think that's really, really important, because trading is hard. There's a heck of a lot of information out there right now, way more information than when I started, way more information than when Taylor started. And so trying to get with individuals who are, one, profitable themselves, and then two, are willing to share, because there's a lot of people that are profitable that aren't willing to share, and then three, can coach, because people will share and be profitable but won't be able to coach you. And so I think that's very, very important when you think about what's going on from a trading perspective. Is somebody that's profitable, has been around for a while, um, they're willing to share that, and then they also have the ability to be able to coach you guys, because I think about it from the aspect of, like, when there's a problem out there, and as a coach, you have the desire to be able to solve it. You just have this intensity that naturally comes out. And so there's another level of it where he will hold you to the fire, per se. It's like a digital fire, as far as trying to get to the root of a problem and really digging deep, because one of the things we do, we give surface level answers a lot of times. And so that's where you can I would say, see Taylor's passion come out in coaching and in the program. He may be like a smooth talker here and kind of like, hey guys, da da da. But when it comes down to getting into asking the question that you have from him, he's really gonna do what he can to get to the root of the problem for you, and encourage you with the next steps on how to solve that for yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I am. I appreciate you, kind of recognizing that I am passionate about this. I'm actually really, like I'm always trying to kind of stay in control of my mindset, but I still get really pissed off at the industry as a whole. Like the industry ticks me off for a number of reasons, but the fact that this is such a large industry, and the fact that there are so many people coming into this industry who just struggle and they can't figure it out. And regardless of the tons of information that's out there, like we have an industry problem here. And I think you may have heard me say this, like I'm fighting against this 95% failure rate. Like I want to change that. I want to figure out how I can be part of changing that. And I feel like I have a contribution and some things that work, for people. And in the end, I can't make people profitable, but I can give you every tool that I think is going to do it for you. And then it's up to you to go and apply it, right? So yeah, I am passionate about it. It sickens me that in this industry we don't have a higher success rate. We need to have that, and that's kind of what I'm aiming to change as much as I can in my little tiny universe I have.
I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody in the program appreciates it. Really appreciates just everything that's going on with MFT. Because I think it's been just adding structure to trading in an environment that is like the wild, wild west. And so adding structure, then, everybody talks about create a process, and have a process. And I think I didn't hear anything about process until I got to MFT. So definitely appreciate it. Um, Anything else you want us to know? I know we're a little bit over on the hour, so.
I don't know. I think that's awesome. I mean, I know there's been some questions about the program and what I do. So, there's the program is twofold. There's curriculum where you learn about the concepts of edge, process, mindset, and I've got a whole curriculum there. And along with that, you get coaching. So we do weekly coaching. Usually, we have a couple sessions a week. We have a dedicated mindset call that we'll do. And then we have kind of a group coaching, and then we have workshops. So we've got some great workshops that we do too. Like the next workshop coming up in February is on beliefs, and we're gonna actually take people through how you change a belief. So one, identifying your beliefs that you have. You're going to find a belief that's limiting you in your trading, and then we're going to work on actually changing it. And how do you go through the process of changing an actual belief? And then you'll have that skill that you can do over and over again. And then I also coach and teach on the box strategy. So this is one of a couple strategies that I trade that are very mechanical. In fact, there's several of the Consistency Accelerator students that you can reach out to independently and say, hey, how's the box strategy? And they'll tell you. They've got back tests. I've given them all the rules. And it's been I think it's been a game changer for me, and probably a game changer for some other students as well, because for some people, discretionary trading is hard. It takes a long time to figure out. This is not hard, and it doesn't take a long time to figure out. And, it's got a pretty good, return on what it can give you. So that's kind of the program in a nutshell. Anything else in the program that you can think of?
I would
What
just
do you
say
like? What do you like about the program?
I like the number of things that you do. That was one of the like there's group coaching, and then I think when the first week or so when I came in, there were like 3 sessions that week for 3 different things, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Oh, good.
So just the number of different things. The mindset calls been good. The other thing I really like is you've taken our feedback and where we've asked for more on certain things, like the belief workshop, like that came out of feedback from mindset calls, and guys just talking about, man, I've got like this belief that I can't shake, and I've had it since I was 7.
Mhm.
And you're like, I know how to fix that. And so, and so it's like, okay, well, guys, we're going to work on specifically like work on belief. I think that has been the best part. And I do like I like a group element because, one person's problem is somebody else's
Yeah.
problem. And then that's probably like what I would say is just the number of events that you've put on based on just feedback from us that are outside of the schedule.
Yeah.
That has been, I would say that's been awesome. I'm enjoying the box. I don't know, I've probably watched the workshop like 3 times. I'm on 2022 in back testing. So yeah, I've enjoyed that as well. So
Good deal. I love it. I love it. Vincent, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being the mod and like representing everybody and asking good questions, not grilling me too hard. I love it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
it's all good. Good. Glad I could help.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a great rest of your week. And next week, we're going to be meeting with Revan, who is leading our daily live stream trade room in the Market Flow Trader community. So I'll talk to him. This will be me interviewing him. So
No, he should interview you.
no. This is my life.